I recently finished Witches Get Stitches, and I want to talk about it.
Pictures and patterns put into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft spoken.
All right, so this is the third book in the Stay a Spell series. Book one was Wolf Gone Wild, and book two was Don't Hex and Drive. All the books feature these witches who are sisters, and in this particular book, we have Violet. And she, prior to book one, meets Nico. Nico is a werewolf, and they have a intense, passionate moment at a party. She feels like there's a connection, but she then does a tarot reading, seeing if he is the one, because she was told by her grandmother that she would know her soulmate basically by his eyes, and she thinks this could be her soulmate. And the tarot cards basically tell her, no, if you date him, it's going to be very, very bad. So she doesn't pursue that relationship. Later, he moves into the same town she is living in because his cousin is there. His cousin was the hero from book one, Wolf Gone Wild. So he is there, and he knows that Violet is his mate, but she is just not interested in pursuing a relationship, and he is trying to convince her that they would be wonderful together. So that's kind of the conflict you have. You have both of these people who know that they should be together, but Violet doesn't want to be because of a tarot card reading, which I found kind of frustrating, to be honest, because like she knows, anybody who reads tarot, I've read tarot, knows that number one, it's not a sure thing what's in the cards, and number two, sometimes you can bring your own biases into reading. And so anyway, her and Nico end up kind of just being very good friends. They keep moving through the story initially as just being very good friends. They open a tattoo parlor together because she's been wanting to open a tattoo parlor, and he has a house that has like a business attached to it. So it worked really good for him to give her like space. He's her landlord, but he's also helping with like the opening because they're buddies. And in this book, she is creating tattoos to help enhance magical creatures. What she is doing with the werewolves is she is trying to create a tattoo that would allow them to better control their wolf nature, which she's learned is a problem. Also, in this world, werewolves are seen as kind of other. Nobody in the supernatural world likes them very much up until Mateo and Evie started dating, which was in book one. They really weren't allowed around the witches. Like that, it was one of those we don't hang out with werewolves. But then Evie started dating Mateo, and it's fine now. We do. So Nico is super super sweet. At one point, she needs to kind of move Fred, which is her chicken rooster. He's a rooster, out of her home because her sister's dog keeps getting in her yard and upsetting the chicken, and so he happily lets the chicken stay with him. He even builds the chicken a little coop. So Nico is just really sweet a lot of the time. He does have a werewolf that is a bit aggressive. And there are times throughout this book that that aggression kind of bothered me. So as they're opening up this tattoo parlor, word gets out that she is trying to make these magical tattoos. And the werewolf pack that Nico used to hang with, and I believe Mateo hung with them too, maybe, definitely Nico. they come to town and they get a little bit threatening-ish around Violet. And initially, she gets him to leave the tattoo parlor. And I believe around then is when Violet and Nico finally are like, we're a thing. We're just gonna, we can't deny this anymore. We can't just say we're friends. We're not friends. We are more than friends. So one of the things that I didn't care for, I loved the first part of this book. As we got a little later in the book, Nico's wolf sometimes gave me the ick a little bit, particularly once we start getting into some spicy scenes. He's kind of aggressive. And there's even a scene where he is like pulling her hair to kind of punish her. I'm going to read you exactly what it says so that you can judge. His fist in my hair stung when he tightened just a little more, punishing me. I deserved it. Okay, so that is just anything aggressive, anything that is punishing, I'm just not into. And it's like that, there's a lot of aggressive stuff happening. Most of it is lovely and fine. That particular thing really bothered me because even though you've kind of been fighting and dealing with stuff, that's not what we do. So I didn't I didn't like some of that, and I didn't like just overall Nico being very aggressive when they were intimate, being very aggressive, like protective of her around the other wolves, like territorial. There's a point where it's cute and a point where it's a red flag, and I felt like we were red flagging a lot. So anyway, as things progress, they start realizing that they have feelings. They're trying to like work into that. And then his old werewolf gang kidnaps Violet. She learns that they just want the magic tattoos, and they were afraid she wouldn't give it to them because they're werewolves and witches hate werewolves. And I have to say, I felt like that was kind of a little bit, like, that didn't make a lot of sense to me with the way she's treated the werewolf so far. And it felt like a plot convenience of them kidnapping her more than like they really had to do that because they felt like they had no choice. So then you have Nico and Mateo and some Grimms go and rescue her, except she doesn't actually want to be rescued because she wants to tattoo these werewolves so that they have control over their wolves, and she wants to fight to get, werewolves more accepted into the supernatural society. So they find her and bring her home, and like her and she realized at some point, I don't remember where this was, that her reading on the tarot was wrong. And at some point, her and Nico, make up and are like, hey, you're my person. Hey, you're my person. And it's lovely. And then we have an epilogue. And the epilogue was just a little bit over the top for me, maybe. So we find out Evie is pregnant. Evie is the heroine from book 1. Woohoo! Excited. She's gonna have some babies. But she's pregnant with triplets. Like, why are we doing this? Now, like, Violet is a twin. She is Clara's twin. So it's not like multiples don't happen. But I just was like, oh, the first set of babies in this book is a triplet set. It was a little crazy. So a couple things, I've kind of walked you through what this book is. So I love the banter and the fun between Nico and Violet. I love Nico being a care doing caregiving stuff for her, like helping with the shop, helping building a coop for her rooster, things like that. Like all of that I love from Nico. Violet doesn't always behave very well in this book, and I was buddy reading it, and one of my friends was like, "Yeah, I just got to the part where she went through his apartment, and that was kind of creepy and stalkery." And I was like, "Yeah." So, Violet doesn't always act in any kind of rational way, and I think I didn't like that about her very much. I did love that we got so much of Evie and Mateo, since Nico and Mateo are cousins. Evie and Mateo make a lot of like guest appearances, and that was so much fun. I also really just liked all of the sister stuff. We learn a lot more about Grimm's. Pretty sure a couple of the sisters are going to be dating Grimm's next, and I am here for it. So we got some action with the Grimm's. We got a little bit more about some of the sisters, which was fun. Violet has some really cool witchy powers, including telekinesis. And I will say that was a good thing because, especially as her and Nico were getting romantic and it was getting kind of aggressive, knowing that she could stop it at any time was one of the only reasons it didn't feel super ick. Like, clearly she was into it because she could just telepathic hand be like, okay, you're done, friend. And she doesn't, so she's having a good time, except the hair pulling I had some issues with. Everything else when they were intimate was very just aggressive. And I felt that a tiny bit from book 1, but there was only like one scene in book 1 where there was some aggression, but it was Mateo, and Mateo was so sweet, and it didn't feel the same. This one really kind of it gave me just a little ick. It didn't give me a lot of ick, but it gave me a little ick with the aggression. It was a lot. Um, and I did think the plot with the werewolves kidnapping her and stuff, I was like, why did we do that? I felt like we did that because the author needed a plot and not because it really worked. But overall scheme of things, I did have a really good time with this. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I'm definitely going to continue the series, probably read the entire series because I really do like this. I love the idea of paranormal, but finding paranormal romances that really work for me are hard. One of the things that doesn't typically work for me is the guys in paranormal being super aggressive. And so I didn't love that in this, but it was not terrible. It just that wasn't quite what I was looking at, but the humor in this was good. I, Generally, I had a very good time other than a couple little things. So, have you read Witches Get Stitches? Have you read any other books in the Stay a Spell series? If you have, which one's your favorite? So far out of the first 3, one is still my favorite. Do you think any are going to top one for me? I am kind of hopeful because I believe the next book is one of the sisters in a Grimm, and I'm not super invested in them. I think it's Lizzie. And then I think the next one is Reuben and Jules, and them I really want to see. And I think, but I'm not sure, the last one is Clara and a Grimm, and I'm really here for that too. So there is all good things to come in this series. I can't wait. I definitely would like at least one that I love as much as I loved the first book. All right, guys, this has been Jane. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.